Hey guys, this is Marissa. Welcome to Digital Nomad Family Podcast. Thank you for listening to another episode with us. If this is your first episode to listen to, thank you so much for spending some time with us. I really appreciate it. And if this is not your first, then you're going to notice the flow of this episode is a little different than how it's been in the past. And the reason for that is we have the opportunity to listen to an interview with Jesper and Cecilie Conrad. And I am really excited for you guys to listen to this and learn from them, because today we are kicking off a 3-part series on school. And the reason I think this is important is because as digital nomads, lots of times we are the primary responsible party for the education of our children. Now, sometimes as a digital nomad, you can do online school, and there's lots of ways to do it. But at the end of the day, you as mom or dad, or mom and dad, or however you do it, you have to make the decision of how your children are going to learn. And so we're going to take a few episodes and talk about the various ways you can do this. And I'm sure this won't be the last time we talk about school and how school fits into the schedule and the questions that come up about school. Because I know for us, it's a big thing. Not only is it hard to make the choice for us about what's best for our kids, but also when we're out and about and people find out we're digital nomads, one of the biggest questions, this just happened yesterday to us, that people ask is in regards to our kids' schooling. And so it is something that needs to be thought about. And so hopefully over the next few episodes, you can learn something. And even if that is, hey, I really like the way we are doing school for our kids, it works great for our family, then that's great. There's nothing wrong with hearing the perspective of another person. And then even if you don't agree with it, it strengthens your belief in how you're doing things. So I'm really excited about today's episode. And like I said, it's going to be a little bit of a different flow. We're going to jump straight into the interview. And it's a little bit of a longer interview, but oh man, it was just so hard to stop listening to them because they are just so incredibly smart about so many things. So if you're like, oh, this feels different, it does, but that's okay. Life is about going with the flow, right? As nomadic people, we get that. So I want to say a quick thank you to everyone who has subscribed so far to the podcast. And if you haven't, I would really appreciate it if you would pop over to wherever you listen to podcasts and subscribe or follow, whatever their word is, because the more people we have following us, the easier it is for other people to find us, because then the podcast platform that you're using recognizes, oh, this is a helpful thing because people are actually following it. And they're more likely to show it to other people than who listen to similar things. So if you haven't subscribed already, I would really appreciate it if you would just click that little button and subscribe to the podcast. And also, I want to say a thank you to our sponsor for this episode, Divi Agency Coach. If you've listened before, you've heard me talk about Divi Agency Coach. It's my husband Eric's, one of his companies, and the whole point of it is to be a coaching business for other people who have online companies, specifically digital marketing companies or web design agencies. So if you fall into either one of those categories for your job, I would suggest checking them out. Divi Agency Coach does a really great job of saying, here's where you are right now, here's where you want to go, and what's the best plan for you to get there. It's very tailored to you and your personality. So thank you guys for the sponsorship today. And with that, we will jump into this interview, and I really hope that you guys hear the joy that Jesper and Cecilie have about this topic of world schooling, and I hope that you enjoy it as much as I enjoyed being able to talk to them. So here we go. Hey there, and welcome to the Digital Nomad Family Podcast. This is the place where families who have or want to have a nomadic lifestyle come together to talk about the highs and lows that this life brings. We celebrate the joys and support each other in the hard. So, if you are a digital nomad family, or will be in the future, this is the place for you. We're glad you're here. My guests today are full-time traveling mom and dad. They have 4 kids, ages 10, 13, 16, and 1 adult child who is currently living in Copenhagen. They have been traveling full-time for the past 4 years, but have always utilized world schooling for their kids. They live life to the fullest and love diving into new cultures, landscapes, languages, and friendships. And one of their favorite aspects of full-time travel is the flexibility that it gives their family. My guests today are Jesper and Cecilie Conrad. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, life is pretty good. We have a little logistics problems with some paperwork we need to fix, and that have kept us up during this night.
Besides that, we're on the first road trip in our new van conversion, 4th van conversion, and it's actually a blast.
It is.
It is
Good.
a very sexy van conversion, and we're very happy about it.
I love that. I love it. It's a sexy van conversion. That makes me so happy.
It is.
This is your 4th full-on conversion, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
we started with Fiat Ducato many years ago, and that was wonderful. And it was right. We still, I had a full-time.
Still owned a house.
We owned a house. I had a full-time job, but then the vacations and weekends got longer and longer. And we took more and more small trips in this one, and just were more happy in 6 or 7 square meters than in 250 square meters. So we knew something needed to change. And then we bought a bus and drove through Europe in it. And now
first we spent a lot of time converting it.
Yeah, a lot of time converting it.
Yes.
Well, we just
I love how you're like.
Actually, technically, it's not a long time. Just felt like a long time. Yeah. We did it in 3 months.
Yeah.
And then we had a little Volkswagen.
Yeah.
We also did some adjustments to that to live in it. But kids tend to grow, and we grew out of it. Like physically, they were just too big. We couldn't, we could squeeze in there, but it was like sausages on the grill too much. Yeah. And now we have a Mercedes 7-meter van. And it's the perfect size, and it will be for a while. So.
Yeah, and it's huge.
It's fitted for 6 adults now. So we.
And it's strong and wonderful, and to drive it, it's just a blast compared to driving an 11-ton bus. Then
I'm sure.
Yeah. Then you don't go to the beach.
If you want to go somewhere.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
Yeah. So where are you guys currently in the world right now as we're talking?
So right now it's not very exotic for us because we're actually in our hometown, Copenhagen.
Okay.
Due to bureaucracy, basically, we had to change our plans. But we do a family visit, and we prefer to do it in the summers because we don't like the winters here. So it's perfect. Yeah. We're just parked outside my sister's house, and just hugging the visas.
My parents yesterday, and it's quite good.
And tonight we move into a flat
in the center of Copenhagen,
hipster Copenhagen, to go be just us in our town.
And visit all our favorite small places.
All our places.
Yes.
All our favorite little restaurants.
The good falafel place, the vegan ice cream shop.
The churches we love, everything we love.
Yeah.
That will be.
It's fun. It's fun when you get to play the tourist a little bit in your hometown. Yeah. Because when you're living there full time, like when you have your house and when you have your job, you don't actually go to the restaurants you love as much. You don't go see the churches that you like that much. Like you're not going to the tourist spots because you're just living life.
Not that frequently, but I would say I'm the kind of woman you would have to tie to the sofa. So we did go quite a lot, even so we're going to revisit our favorite places. And of course, we'll do it more intensely. We'll go like every day. Yeah. And of course, we didn't do that when we had a house. But that's the whole lifestyle change, the whole thing, the change. Yeah,
that's
living in one base and then moving around all the time.
Yep. Kind of the point to it, which is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, today we are actually going to focus on schooling. And you guys are so much smarter when it comes to world schooling than I am. And I cannot wait to hear your philosophies, wait to hear how you do world schooling, because I can tend to get very overwhelmed. Like when I hear world schooling, I have this love-fear relationship with it. I love the aspect and I love the thought of it, but a lot of fear creeps in as well, that what if I miss something in my children's education?
Me.
Cecilia just got very excited about something.
Can I say something now?
Yes,
we just have a new saying in our family. We like these little sayings, like almost like memes, kind of like. For example, we say always plan with a pencil, which is really smart because you'll need your eraser all the time. But that's not relevant for world schooling. Well, what I want to say now is we just got a new one from a new friend. We just met in Normandy. And he says, if your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough. Oh. I like that very much. Yeah.
I like that.
So you're supposed
to
be scared. You may be scared. It's actually a huge responsibility to educate your own, but it's the right thing to do.
Yes.
And you're supposed to be scared. Okay. And one thing that is really in the center of it is that you will be very alone. That's why we do this podcast right now, to share our knowledge and our worries with each other. Because the neighbor, everyone you meet, 99.9% of the people you meet, they don't do this. They don't take the responsibility home and educate their own. So one thing is that you'll be scared. I think most parents are scared, basically. Are we doing good enough for our kids? But if you do it in a different way, you make a choice most people don't make, then you're all alone. You have no one to talk to. And that's really hard. Then you can't get over your fear. You're alone with your fear. And that's worse than the fear in and of itself, I think.
Yes.
So,
But what I find really, really fun is that people who outsource the responsibility of their child's learning, that they are not afraid. I would be scared if I send a kid to school today. I wouldn't dare doing it.
Just let some stranger.
It is people they haven't met, and
you have no idea. You don't know who they are.
No,
and you let them teach your own.
Yeah, and you release the responsibility. So I think that's part of the trick that makes people want to buy into it. Is that if your kid never learns to read or is not good at math, then it's someone else's problem. Then it's because someone has failed. It's not you as a parent. So you can blame the teacher. You can blame the school system.
You can blame the curriculum.
And that is freeing.
You can blame the government.
It's wonderful, wonderful freeing to have someone to blame. But I don't want to outsource the responsibility of my child's well-being. That's just, in my world, crazy.
Wow. There was a lot in that. I think we could talk for like an hour about just that little bit right there.
We talk a lot.
I love it because, like, Cecilia, starting with what you said, it like our dreams should scare us. If our dreams aren't scaring us, are they big enough? Are they actually dreams then? Well, this definitely is something that scares me. So maybe I should use that fear to drive me to do well, not run away from it.
Yeah.
And Jesper, that was so insightful about how
I think for a lot of homeschooling and world schooling families, the idea of outsourcing the education is very scary. And
I wouldn't do it. I mean, that's just, and I mean, even, and then I tend to very male, like I tend to read the statistics. And in Denmark, we have something like, there is a test made 2 years before they're going on to the next step after the primary school. And they evaluate that only 80% is ready, have the knowledge and maturity needed to take the next step. And it's like, okay, I have
4 children.
Four children. Would it be one down of them not learning what they should? That's not odds I want to take.
But to be honest, we would never agree with the idea of there being something they should learn before a relevant time. I think, I don't know, we can talk a lot, and I suppose there's a time limit for this podcast. So I think we should get to the core of world schooling before we do all the
public school bashing.
Yeah, and let's not bash the school system. No. People are free to do whatever they want. Yeah. We don't want it. We are very grateful we didn't do it. And actually, we can thank one of our children who just refused. Very polite and nice and peaceful warrior kind of way, because that's how he said, I think the school thing, it's not for me.
Okay. That was kind of your...
Enjoy it. For me, I think it's not the right place to be. Yeah. So long story short, we started to homeschool, and very quickly we converted to unschooling. And when we started traveling, you can call it world schooling, as we do the unschooling while moving around. And I would like to know what you find scary.
Yes, I think I am like a lot of people, that the idea of not having a set curriculum, that today you are going to do this, and I can see the progression. I can see exactly where you are with this skill that you're trying to master. And I can see maybe where you lost it, because I'm looking at these worksheets that you did. The idea of not having like an A, B, C way to work it out, as far as like the progression of their education. I think for me that is, and also I think when you step into unschooling and world schooling, you actually have a lot more options, because now it's very child-led, and it's more, here's what I'm seeing that you're interested in a little bit, or here's the country that we're in, and we're going to allow that to dictate a little bit more of the direction we take things. And having 4 kids myself and having to school 4 kids, the idea of just opening up each of them to this amount of freedom feels like, what if I can't keep up? What if I can't handle?
Okay, you won't be able to.
You can't.
You cannot.
Just give up.
Like it.
You can't keep up.
As soon as I said that, both of your eyes got as big as like silver dollars.
We have 4 children and we can't keep up. But you don't have to keep up. The whole thing is, I think, and this is a theme I'm currently pondering on. Well, I've been since forever, but now maybe more intensely, how the nomad lifestyle is just as much about the inner journey. You could say the spiritual journey, but also the personal development, and how this moving around will throw us into different situations, and we have to handle them, and we have to tackle. Why do we freak out about bureaucracy? It's just paperwork, it's nothing. Why? I don't have cancer or anything, it's just a piece of paper. But we can't sleep at night. It's stupid. And you get to work on yourself, and you get to develop. And I think in relation to the whole letting go of the idea of me being in control of what my children learn, this has been an amazing journey to first unschool from a base, and then let go of the base and start moving around. And I have to continuously, is that a word?
Yeah.
Sure.
I have to remind myself that I trust the process. I trust my children. I trust the life that they live. I trust that whatever they pick up or ask to get is what they need. So I don't have a curriculum. I don't demand any specific learning goals from them. They are very, very free to do whatever they want to do. There is no study time. We don't demand any level of math or handwriting or anything.
Okay.
So nothing.
No,
but we are very far into the journey, and that's why we can teach, or we can, we can be the wise old ones with the gray hair.
You are not old. Don't even go there.
No. But we've
been doing this for more than 10 years.
Yeah.
So we have experience, and what we see. Should I shut up and let you talk for a while?
Yeah, no. I just wanted to say we started out with the crutches as well.
Yeah.
And that's what I call the schooling at home in front of a desk, trying to have different papers and stuff like that. And that is, I call them crutches, because you as a parent taking home the responsibility are so super afraid that you cannot figure it out. So you need a system where you can say, oh, I've been a good parent today. And then you tick off some different boxes. And I'm in charge of my children's education, but it can take some years for a lot of people, the whole deschooling of the parents' mind. But
it's an ongoing process.
It's an ongoing process. I wouldn't
say that I'm totally done.
No, but what happens at some point is that you stop up and ask yourself, hey, what is it truly I want my kids to master? Is it math? Is it how to write? Is it history? Maybe it is none of the above. What we have had this talk a lot of times, and what we really want our kids to master is more value-based. It's more that we want them to stand on a base of knowing who they are as a person, and trust themselves and know how they feel and react, so they cannot be pushed around by society. We want them to have learned to obtain knowledge. So if they want to learn something, they can go do it, because that is more important than any curriculum. Because often you end up forcing education down the throat of the kid in a way where they end up disliking learning, and that we tried that as well, and that was terrible. But
also, it's very important that they learn how to know what they want. Yep. They need to make a choice. Today I'll go do skateboarding. And then they go do skateboarding all day, and they come back and they feel, that was frustrating. And maybe next week they do cooking all day, and that made them happy. And then they realize, okay, my choices have consequences for my emotional state. And maybe the cooking is my path, or at least for a while. I think it's very important that you make your own choices for your own life, and you know how to handle the emotions that come after your choices. And I think a lot of adults don't know how to do this. They just do whatever is, available, or what the neighbors do, or, they see the new thing on Netflix instead of thinking about what kind of entertainment do I actually want to take in. Yeah. And all these choices, we spend a lot of time talking about choices. Some of our kids even do to-do lists, and because they're like, okay, today I want to do these things, and they write them down, and then they tick them off, and they're happy about it. Or they don't. We don't have systems, but sometimes they do. But we do have systems, but they don't last.
No, not that.
Let's be honest. We write them with pencils. No, but I think this skill, that you can create your own life, your own meaningful life, doing what makes you happy, in obviously an ethical way, because with freedom comes responsibility. Everyone knows that, and that happens for children as well. So they need to know this balance and work with it. And I think it's very important to work with it as a child. So when you come of age and you're mature, and now you need to create your own life, and you will be more alone with your responsibility, you know how to do it. And you also know how to fail and get up again.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
and
that.
I think kids who live in a more structured life, and it could be homeschooling, could be schooling, but where you have the curriculum, and if you do well and mom can tick off the boxes and you can get an A, then you're a very good child and you've done well. Okay, hooray. They don't know what makes them happy. They don't know what is meaningful or what is... They just go do what they're asked to do, and then they have some free time after to play computer games or skateboarding, whatever. I think the content of life is very important, that they learn to choose this content themselves. So all of this freedom goes into this exercise of just knowing who you are and where you want to be in life.
I love that. And I think that in so many ways, allowing kids to express themselves that way and to grow in that way, it teaches them, like you said, to know who they are as a person. And then when they reach whatever age society says you're now an adult, in my passport country of America, that's 18. So we tell 18-year-olds, you're an adult now, go live your life. And if they haven't been prepared, if all they have done is said, for the past 18 years, I have been told what to do, and I know that if I do well on these programs, this education or this extracurricular activity that I was encouraged to be in, that makes other people happy. And so all I've learned in 18 years is how to make other people happy and how to make other people proud of me. But that's not the same as knowing what makes me happy.
Exactly.
No.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow. I love that.
It's not the same as knowing how can I use the skills that I have to the better of humanity. It's not just about them. It's also about everything around them. Yeah. And they will not find their special skills, angles, passions if they don't look for them.
Yeah, exactly. Hearing all of this kind of, I think for me, and I think for people that I know who are Americans, that understand the legal structure of American homeschooling, would hear all this and some light bulbs would be flashing in their brains going, but how can you do that? Legally, how can you just have your kids at home and let them explore their own journey in this way? So can you talk just a little bit about the legal aspect of your passport country and how you're able to walk this road out?
Well, now we have crocodiles in the river, right? This is not easy. But,
of course not.
Okay, in our country, it's a constitutional right to homeschool.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So that's beautiful.
That's beautiful.
Yes.
Okay.
And that opens
up a lot of doors.
Yes.
It does.
And what opens even more doors is that we don't live in our country.
Okay.
As we are known. So basically, no one is checking. Whenever we meet someone and they ask us about the schooling, the only answer we need to give is that it's legal in our country, and that's it.
Yeah.
In our country, before we left, we got a letter from the local school saying that we do well and we don't need to be checked anymore. They think we're cool, and that's it. So for us, it's very easy. For some people, it's a lot more complicated. I think it has to do with how you handle communicating with the system that will check the homeschooling. And we do have a system in place in Denmark. It's small because homeschooling is small here. Yeah. But it is there. There will be someone checking, or there might be someone checking. And then you need to be respectful, and you need to be able to translate your lifestyle. If you're aggressive and just do school bashing
I have one quick point is that a lot of some of the homeschoolers we have seen in Denmark that has problem with the state or the local school, it's often because they have a thorn in the side of the school system somehow. We didn't choose it. We never chose it. So we don't chose what? The schooling. We don't have a fight with them. No. But some people, if their kid got bullied and they ended up saying, we will take our kid out and have the schooling ourselves, then they have this thorn in the side and they're fighting. And it's a system, and you need to, if you want to live inside a country where there's laws and systems in places, then you just need to follow them. And that is why you sometimes, as an unschooler, homeschooler, need to be able to, as Cecilie say, translate it or speak, as we call it, educanese, where you say...
I call it educationese.
Oh, she's probably more right than I am.
I like that.
She's right. Yeah.
I like it.
We have two different words for it.
No, she's right. I'm wrong. But so, for example, we have been recently we have been visiting some cathedrals, and naturally for us when we are there is to talk about the history and the place and everything. And then if we should translate it to a school, we would just do all then we had history.
But we did this one process of the whole checking of our homeschooling. And it was when we were unschooling, and we just wrote down the philosophy and the idea and the techniques and, how does it work? And then we were completely honest, but also did a little backwards planning that I'm not really doing anymore. But if we make a checklist of what we're doing during the year and we translate it into education language, then it looks awesome, because it is awesome. It's just we don't get up in the morning and say, okay, let's go see a cathedral, and then we can talk about geometry, history, color code. It's not like that. It's not how the process works for us, but the result makes the school teacher happy as well. It's just the intention underneath the day trip with the cathedral is not parallel to the intention of a school trip to a cathedral.
Cecilia sometimes says that learning is a byproduct of living. So you cannot not learn.
That's another saying we have. We should make some t-shirts.
Could you please?
Yeah, let's make some t-shirts. Okay, we have 3 now.
Yeah.
Big dreams, pencil, and byproduct. Okay, I'll make 3 t-shirts this week.
Yeah.
Please do. Say it again. I will. Learning
is a byproduct of living.
It doesn't need to be formalized. I mean, the formalization is...
We just let her take it in.
Yeah, she's happy. It's just...
No, I'm right there with you. That is honestly one of the most beautiful lines about education and life I have heard, because like you guys were talking about just a little bit ago, there's so much that we have to learn. It's not just how to solve math problems, what vocabulary words are. There's emotional regulation. There's goal setting. There's planning. Like, these are real things that, especially as nomads, if you don't know how to plan something, then you're in trouble. Like, you have to have
plan it with a pen and get too attached to your plan, you're in trouble as well.
In trouble. Yeah. So you have to know how to adjust. You have to know how to self-regulate. You have to know how to take where I am right now and where I want to go. How do I get there? These are things that you're not necessarily going to learn in a history class. No. But on a trip to a cathedral, talking about history, we can learn these things as we're just living life.
Yeah,
but sometimes, to be honest, in the cathedral, we discuss board games. It's not like, it's not like we
don't have any...
It's not like that.
We don't have any educational goals for it.
There is another side of it, that now we talk a lot about the unschooling, the radicalism, the freedom, but we discussed just a few days ago in the car that actually in our family, not with a curriculum, but just because, I don't know, because we are who we are. We have taught our children, if you like, how to enjoy art in an art museum.
Yeah.
It's not something you can just do. If you throw a random person who's never looked at paintings before into an art museum, they'll be like, obviously, I would be like that with looking at a motor. I have no idea what I'm looking at. So you have to know what you're looking at, and you have to have a habit of going to the art museum. You have to have a language to talk about what you've seen. You have to have your emotional resonance box working with this. And we've done that with art museums. We've done it with history. We've done it with music, many different genres. We've done it with cathedrals, architecture in general. Yep. We've done it with landscapes. We've done it with cultures. We've done it with languages. We've lived with lots of different people, different levels of, what do you say? Like, rich people, poor people, people in cities, people in the countryside, all kinds of people. We lived in so many different places, talked about how does life unfold here? Why does it happen? So that would be like something, a family dynamic economy thing. It's a big thing. Yeah. And we've spent hundreds of hours teaching our children this, so they have the skills. Now shut up.
No. It's not. Yeah, I'm trying to say something which is inspired what you said, but it is the passion and fascination is one of the best educators there is. And sometimes we I have a big passion for marketing and sales processes. I think it's hilarious. And I love to talk with my kids about it. I'm like, oh, look at this. And then you can A/B test stuff. And it's so exciting. And sometimes I'm alone in the happiness about it. But listening to people who are passionate about something is where it's fantastic. And our kids do it as well. For example, our son, we were on Kronborg, one of where Hamlet took place.
It's the castle in Elsinore, north of Copenhagen, where the story of Hamlet is set by Shakespeare. Because the story of Hamlet is actually a Danish legend that Shakespeare writes in a perfect way. I'm not like taking it back. It's just that's why he puts it in castle in Denmark. And we were there at the castle.
And there, our oldest son, he had a great half an hour or something with one of the custodians walking around. And this guy, he was like, finally, someone wants to listen to me. And so he gave a lot of his knowledge. And for our son, it was just fantastic to walking and listening to this encyclopedia kind of person.
We were actually not even walking around. We talked for half an hour about what is that? A tapisserie? What's that in English? Like the one in Bayeux?
Oh, yeah.
You know, the wall tapestry.
We have just been in France, so the language is a little broken.
I'm very language confused right now. Sorry.
It's fine. I keep trying to say sí instead of yes, because we're in a Spanish-speaking country right now. So I'm like, see. I'm like, that's not.
And we have a French friend with us right now, so we've been speaking French a lot, or I have, as
to go back to your question about the legality, then there are often, at least in Denmark, people have a misconception about what is needed to go to university. They think you need to go the direct way that 95% of everybody else does. But you can actually take, it's similar to college in the States. You can actually take that online in Denmark, and you probably also can in the States.
In Denmark, you cannot do it online. You have to be above age 18 and live in Denmark. Then you can do it Danish.
Yeah, then you can do it Danish. But the thing is, often people have limiting beliefs about, if I need to do this, then I need to have taken these steps before. And it's actually seldom the case. If you look into other alternative routes there, often there are. If you want to go to a university, there's a tuition-free one called University for the People, made... And
which one is that?
It's the UO.
It's not the car?
UO people. No, you only pay for the exams because then people need to get in over it. But there are online universities, there's online colleges. There's so many roads to the life you want to create.
But it's not mandatory to take a university degree. No. The legality is the mandatory schooling years or education years. And in our home country, it's called mandatory education, not mandatory schooling.
But the thing is, one that I find more interesting than all these rules is that, to me, it kind of seems like people don't know or don't figure out themselves, or the children or the young adult, what do they want to use their life on? What is it that actually interests them? So they just go down some route. Oh, okay, I need to go to college because you go to college, and then I need to go to some kind of university. But my question is more like, when do you stop up and feel yourself and ask yourself, hey, what makes me happy? What is my passions? What do I get joy out of doing? Do they actually get joy out of going to school? Then go ahead. But I don't see a lot of them.
Some do.
Yeah, some do. Some love
school bashing.
No. Some of them love it.
I think does this style of education work for me? And for some kids, that style really does work, where they really connect with it. They enjoy it. They like the social component. They like don't misunderstand me there. I do.
No.
I'm not one of those that think that homeschoolers are not socialized. I will never, ever even kind of sort of get on that boat. But some kids like I go to this school and I see the same people and I understand the social structure of this place that I'm in. Some kids like that. And I do think that's okay. I like how, Jesper, you were saying, though, is this what my child wants? Is this the best way for them to get where they want to go? And so breaking down, what are my kids' dreams? And we don't get to make our kids' dreams for them. And I think that one of my favorite aspects of World and unschooling is this idea of giving our kids the freedom to find out what they want and what they're good at and where they want to take their life and what they want to do in this world with their time here.
Yeah.
Because then we can help them find the best path. And my husband and I, we've talked about this a lot with our kids. Our kids in general are younger than your kids. Our oldest is 15. And so, we have a little bit of time before they are out on their own and having to figure out what their life's purpose and goals are. But we talk a lot about some jobs and some career choices or some just life paths. You do not need that degree hanging on the wall. You don't. For every job, you need education. Every single job in this world, you need education. But some jobs aren't going to require that degree from university. Some jobs will. If you want to be a surgeon, you're going to need to go and go to university.
Practice on someone, please. Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, I want my surgeon to be very, very well practiced and very highly educated. But then there's other careers that apprenticeships are gorgeous things. Entrepreneurship is a fantastic career path. And for those things, you don't necessarily have to go. I know a lot of kids that have gone and gotten their business degree because they wanted to be an entrepreneur. And so instead of just going out and starting the company or chasing the dream that they want to chase. And so I think that's a really just very valid point, Jesper, that I think that a lot of parents.
But the fun thing is, you talk about career, and there's something interesting about that reflect back to what Cecilie and mine goals are for our kids. And one of them is that they become sustainable as people economically. So they need to be able to not be dependent on a system or a state.
We want them to be able to make enough money
to do what they want,
handle their own life.
Yeah.
So what would you say if someone asked you, what is world schooling? How would you answer that question?
Yeah, it's a good question.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would say. I think someone asked me.
I think I have an idea, and it is that you, as an unschooler, as we are by heart, you can learn no matter where you are, but being able to immerse yourself in different cultures make a huge difference on how you understand the world. And I think that is part of the reason that we travel, is because life is so much more different in Istanbul than in Copenhagen. And it gives a nuanced dialogue with our children to see how people live. And we have also, when we are in Paris, there's a lot of more people living on the streets. And it's
also very, very nice art at the Louvre.
And a lot of wonderful art. So I think to be able to live inside another culture and not just visiting it on vacation, but actually live in it, gives the understanding of a culture. And then you look at it and compare it to where you grew up, but then also the language. We love talking about language and trying to understand from where the words come. And I think that is some of the parts that the world schooling aspect gives us. And my wife have a point.
I think actually traveling as an unschooler, I mean, no, it's not that everybody has to do it, obviously. We like it. But it's kind of a cheat sheet. It just makes it so easy.
Yeah.
It's so easy. It throws you into all of these different situations where you just have to grow your spiritual, emotional, personal self. You have to handle it. And so all of this, it will never stand still, not even for 2 days.
Yeah, exactly.
Kids, they talk and talk. When we go to bed at night, everybody's lying down in the van. They talk like there is so much to evaluate, and it's really nice conversations. Also, when we drive on the highway, it's not really interesting to look out the window. We talk and talk and talk about things that happened and how we feel and what it was. It just happens. And because we're these crazy people who cannot walk past a cathedral or a museum, I get the FOMO if there is a cathedral and I don't have time for it. I kind of put a knife in my own tire. Okay. So, but I think it just makes it very easy because it's so obvious. It cannot wait until tomorrow. We're moving on. This cathedral, it's today. Or this exhibition, there was this Banksy exhibition we saw in Prague last summer. And the plan was to be in Prague for 1 day. But then there was a Banksy exhibition. So we did like speed tourist life. We saw all the things we had to see, plus the exhibition.
Yeah.
And so you like at night in bed, you're so overwhelmed, but we did get it into our system. And we talked about all the Banksy art for months and months. And so traveling on top of unschooling, there is no risk of, now I want to use a Danish term. What would that be in English? There's no risk of spending too much time in the sofa, the brain being a little stoned out.
Watching the movies. You don't
like a couch potato.
Yeah, kind of. But it's not. Anyway, it's not important. There's no risk because we do that. Sometimes we end up in this state where kind of nothing happens and it feels really boring. But we feel that after like 3 days.
Yeah.
And one of the things we do around world schooling that is maybe different from other people, but it's a big, big learning journey every time, is that we, if people say, okay, come by, you can stay with us, then we say yes. So we have lived together with many people.
Nice.
And that is quite a wild experience because now we are talking on Zoom and we are nice and polite against each other and everything is good and fun.
Nice and polite.
We are also nice and polite all the time, but when you wake up next to in the same house and but you wake up and you make food together and you see each other tired and you see each other having a fallout with your spouse or your kids, it is just real life. And it's so much more interesting than visiting people to live together with them. And also when we then move on, then we have so many dialogues inside our family about family values. What could we learn from that family? How do they live that we don't want to live? And they probably have the same things in our relationship where they're like, that's not us. But it's very interesting to immerse yourself in another family for some time. And I like that a lot.
I like that. And I feel like that really goes hand in hand with world schooling and unschooling, because it's that learning by living thing. What is something that you would say to someone like me that is still maybe a little bit more reliant on the crutches than I want to be? What is some advice to help transition, that for those of us that want to transition to a more
that's the question. Do you want to transition to unschooling? That's the question.
I have one point around it, which is what's the worst that can happen? Because that's the way we started out. Actually, I was the classical dad going to work, and Cecilie was home with the kids, and she wanted to homeschool the kids. And I was like, oh, that sounds weird. Kids go to school. I went to school. There was nothing wrong with going to school. When I was a child, we did this, and nothing is wrong with me, kind of. But then Cecilie talked me into, okay, let's try it for a year. And it's like, okay, a year, you cannot, every child can learn whatever they have missed out in a year of public schooling, because it's not so serious. There's a big difference between unschooling and unparenting. Some people, they remove the reins too much. In my world, they think that, or they take unschooling as another ism. Unschooling can be some other crutches for people. They read a book and they're like,
can I say,
know what I want to say?
I know what you want to say. Sometimes the idea of unschooling becomes like almost a religion. And the parents who want to unschool can see the philosophy. They really get the idea of learning being a byproduct of living, the idea of the child owning him or herself, the idea of personal freedom for everyone, including everyone under the age of 18, this whole thing. But then they become kind of afraid of themselves.
Yeah.
They become afraid of influencing the children. They become afraid of any adjustment they would make would be ruining the unschooling. So they kind of back off, so much so that we start in our family to call it unparenting. Because as he said, unschooling is not unparenting. You're still supposed, this is what I believe. There's no laws for this, but I believe that as an unschooling mother, I'm still supposed to be the mother, and I'm still supposed to be a person. I have a personal opinion. I'm not gonna foie gras shovel it down the throat of my children. But I have an opinion on, let's say, math. Let's take the elephant and talk about it. I have an opinion about math, and I'm open about it. I'm not forcing my children to study math, but I have an opinion, and every time they ask me, they will get the same answer. So they ask me in the morning, this is a daily routine, what's the plan for today? And there's a plan, and it's up for discussion. But obviously, when we get to the day, usually it's not that much up for discussion, but it's on the plan. Right. We talked about it before. It's not like I'm not the one making the plans. We all make the plans. And then if it's art museum, it's art museum, and everybody goes. And so it's not like we're not in control. It's not like we don't have opinions. It's not like we don't force anything, because we are responsible. We're responsible. And we respect their freedom, but we also believe that too much freedom, especially for too young children, can be very frightening. I need to tell my children, I've got it covered. I've got it under control. You're not in school. I'm not even educating you at home, but I'm sure you'll be happy when you're 15 and you'll be better off, I think, than the kid's average child who has been in school.
Yes.
And to do that, I need to be there as a person with my opinions and with my judgments. Mm-hmm. I will also tell them that computer game is bullshit, shut it off. I'll do that.
Yeah.
I love it often, but sometimes I'll tell them that you're not doing, or a movie or whatever.
Yeah.
Sorry, please go ahead.
No, you're fine. I completely agree with everything you just said. And I think that in the beginning, when I first heard about unschooling, it was from some people like you're describing, and I saw the way that their family dynamics were, and I was like, if that's unschooling, I don't want that.
No,
because I feel like they have no control over their children. I feel like the children are 100% running that family and that home, and I don't think that that is the best choice for our family. Maybe it's great for them, but for me, that is not what I want. And so that's kind of why it's taken me so long to get, again, comfortable with this idea of unschooling and world schooling as I've researched it more. Because you aren't unparenting, you are still responsible.
The second thing I would say is that you need to really handle your need as a mother for control over their education. And if you let go of that, you have to handle that you can't feel safe and confident about your children's education in any way. You have to let go of that and start with the inner process of trusting life as a process. Trusting the capacity of your children to go learn what they need to learn, the capacity of your children to make the right choices. At the moment, we have a 13-year-old daughter who refuses to learn any math. And I respect it. She just hates it. She'll do logic and geometry for fun. But if you say the word math, she'll leave the room. She just, or she will not even, because she's very strong. She'll just say, that's not for me. Forget about it.
Yeah.
But I trust that she will not need it. And I also, she's a bright girl. I trust that in case she needs it, she will either learn it or find someone to help her, or find some fancy app that can do it for her. She'll find a solution.
I love that.
She will not give up on life because she can't do math. She will just say, okay, I have a calculator in my phone. I'll just, take me a few seconds longer than everyone else. I don't care. And I respect that choice. So trusting that, I also have one child who refuses to do handwriting. They just can't handwrite. And they're like, but why would I, it's everything is done by a keyboard. I write pretty fast in 3 languages in the keyboard. Why do I need to old fashioned?
Why do I have to hold the pencil?
But, I think it's a good thing, but I'm not shoveling it into their faces. I'm just telling them I think it's a good thing, and then I'll leave it there. So my advice is this. You have to be ready to do a lot of inner work.
Okay.
And you should be ready to do it for, as my husband said, at least a year. Because the change of letting go, the children will react like, okay, there was this structure and thing holding them in place, and they will go in lots of different directions. You can't really predict what will happen, and everything will calm down after a while. And your idea of ambition, in order to be a good mother, you have to keep them clean, you have to keep them safe, you have to feed them, you have to provide a home, you have to be nice, money in the bank. You have a list, and in this list is this curriculum thing. You're used to coming up with something for their learning journey. You have to take that out.
Okay.
And that's hard to do. I had 23 years of formal schooling in my personal life, as I have an education degree. It took me a long time to feel confident every day, not teaching my kids anything or asking them to teach themselves or giving them books or, just saying, you do whatever you do.
Yeah.
I have a little something, almost meant as a joke, but not really. But it is, if you succeed in guiding your children to become an 18-year-old who is unbroken, then you have done a really good job. Yeah. Then they just need to figure out life for the rest of it. Because I'm not saying I was broken, but if you look at a lot of the people, when you have been through a formal school and adulthood, a lot of people start kind of broken on life. There's so many things with the personal insecurity and all this of being inside this forced system that you need to learn that you're good enough just by being alive, that your birthright on this planet is good enough. So if you can reach 18 years and they're not broken yet, then you have done what you needed to do.
Wow. I love that. I think that is probably a good place to land this for now, but there's something inside me saying that this will not be the last time you guys are on this podcast. So
we would love to talk more.
We can talk for hours and hours.
I would love to have you guys back. But before we say goodbye, I want to make sure people know where they can find you. And we'll definitely leave a link to your website in the show notes. So check out their website. It's in the show notes. It is, I'll let you say it.
Yes, right now it is called World Schooling Nomads, and we might change it to the Conrad family, so you can search for both on social media and our website. It's worldschoolingnomads.com, and we will, if you go there and we have changed it, we will make a redirect, so you will find us.
Okay, and I'll definitely add. What's that?
I'm just saying, look for a big red bus. There will be a big red bus on the, what is that?
On their Instagram.
Cover thing. Yeah. That's
your Instagram profile picture.
Yeah.
And I'll leave links. Yeah, I'll leave links to their, you guys' website and your Instagram in the show notes. So definitely check out Cecilia and Jesper on social. And I can't wait for the listeners to check you out and to have you guys back, because you are so much smarter than me. And I just love sitting at your feet and learning things from you. It's an honor. So
likewise.
All right. Well, thank you so much, guys.
It's a big pleasure.